Recording in progress.
All right, good evening. It is now 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. I'd like to call the Richland County Council Zoning Public Hearing meeting to order. Madam Clerk, are you taking the roll? Thank you.
Brenham.
Here.
Pugh.
Here.
Livingston. Weaver.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
Teratio.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is additions or deletions to the agenda. Director Price?
There are no additions or deletions.
Thank you. Next is the adoption of the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Next, we are at item 5, open public hearing. We have 5A, map amendments. Case number 24-001, MA Carl Kaiser, AG to LI, 66.43 acres. The agricultural district is AG to light industrial LI district on Wilson Boulevard, TMS number R14400-01-02. Planning Commission recommends approval. Staff recommendation is approval. This public hearing is now open. Vice Chair Pugh, do we have any individuals sign up to speak this evening?
Madam Chair, we have 4 people signed up against, and we also have the applicant. Can Mr. Wilson please approach the podium? Mr. Wilson, could you please state your name and your address for the record? And you have 2 minutes to speak, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Mark Wilson, located at 294 Grove Lane East in Wayzata, Minnesota. I'm with Scannell Properties. We're an industrial development company that has done work in the greater Columbia area, as well as all across the U.S. And as well in Europe. I'm representing the owner of the property, Carl Kaiser, this evening. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the council for having us this evening and for the opportunity to speak to you all. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about our company, and I'll keep it short and brief, but we specialize in Class A industrial development. We were founded in 1990, and we're really established on building buildings for FedEx, who we've done over 200 developments across the U.S. for. But we've also expanded our business with many reputable companies, including Best Buy, GE, Nestle, General Mills, and many others. As I mentioned, we've completed 2 buildings here in the greater Columbia metro, one being just north of the airport, that was about 250,000 square feet, and then one as well being a FedEx development over in Lexington, that was just over 300,000 square feet. So we're seeking this rezone for the purpose of a new Class A industrial development that will be either speculative or build-to-suit. And really, we just think this is a great opportunity because it supports and is consistent with the future land use guidance for this parcel. We're estimating a maximum of roughly 900,000 square feet of product that could be developed on this site, so we think it's a great opportunity to bring up to or over 250 new jobs to this community. If the total amount of square feet was developed, we also believe that this could be a great opportunity for tax increment to be added to the community, as we estimate the total investment to be between $85 and $100 million. Again, if the entire roughly 900,000 square feet were to be developed. And so that's all I have for you this evening. We're very excited about the opportunity, and we'd have to answer any questions if there are any. So
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Next, we have Mr. Leroy Tyson, Sr. Okay, thank you, sir. We have Mr. J.T. McLaughlin. Mr. McLaughlin, if you could approach the podium, state your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to speak, sir.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm J.T. McLaughlin. I live at 204 Elmont Drive in Columbia. First of all, I want to thank the members of County Council for naming a street and recognition of my service over the years. I'm very, very grateful. So thank you again so very much. And to Representative Dreschen that led the effort, thank you so much. I'm here, anytime people talk about zoning changes, I get nervous because zoning has not been friendly to the African-American communities over the years. We've seen how zoning has really uprooted neighborhoods. We've seen some of the chaotic situations that have occurred through zoning. I know that when you use smart growth principles that the county uses in their land use planning, I think that's really, really important. But I do think that quite often when you see us coming out like this in large numbers here, because, we have been in a community that's primarily a residential community, in essence. And sometimes when you have mixed land use, sometimes those industrial complexes will swallow up the residential components of a community. And I think it has to be a livable community. I remember years ago, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and someone was going to make a big development not too far from where I live. This was probably about 50 years ago or so. And I remember Harvey Gantt. You all know Harvey Gantt, renowned architecture engineer, desegregated public schools in South Carolina when he went to Clemson. And Harvey was saying, man, we don't want this in our neighborhood. Everybody was saying it's going to bring jobs and prosperity. And I was young. I said, I cannot understand why Harvey Gantt is saying we don't want this. Harvey understood from a planning perspective that when you allow unfettered development to come in your community, it could cause a chaotic situation. I want to thank you all again for this opportunity to come before you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Charles B. Garrett. Mr. Charles Garrett, could you? Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Madam Chair, we have David R. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, if you can approach the podium, state your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to speak, sir.
Good evening. My name is David R. Lewis, 816 Coastbury Drive, Columbia 29203. Want to first of all thank the council. I appreciate the work that you're doing and continue to go on your mission of development. And one thing I do appreciate it, you take the time to get the true understanding of what you actually is correct and what is not. Industrial, light industrial, or whatever you want to call it, is excellent. But one thing I see time after time after time, not only here in Columbia, but throughout the nation, light industrial could mean light contamination of an unknown source. No one has took the time to really study in that area the underground streams that is pure with water. And it could easily, without a roadmap and proof that you would not contaminate the soil, could bring forth poison directly to the community. As I heard the gentleman speak, and again, thank you, welcome. But at the same time, I have not seen any type of research come out of the funds and based on the corporations that you have mentioned to do a light inspection to see how you come and bring this to without going to the process of saying, this is how we will prevent this from happening. Or they say they want to bring it in, go and build it, provide job opportunities, which is excellent. But while you providing the job opportunities, do not bring destruction. Because one thing about it, history has taught each one of us, if we go back in the past, if you do not take the time to make sure that they spend the money that they say they could bring in, will also put in that the opportunity to show how it will not destroy. Traffic, trucks, a whole lot of really heavy traffic in their community will be coming. And because of the size of the road, how is the traffic flow will be stopped, seized, or controlled? It's a lot of things that, again, I see for what the small bit of information I see.
Salute.
Thank
That's
each
your
one
time,
of you
sir.
for the opportunity to speak and continue doing the good work.
Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, that would conclude everyone signing up to speak.
Thank you. That concludes this public hearing.
Madam Chair,
You recognize Ms. Barron.
thank you. And before I get started, I want to just thank the residents of District 7 for coming out and showing your support, but more importantly, how you came out to our town hall meeting. We also held a separate meeting to gather more information. Mr. Wilson, thank you so much to your team for really providing us the information that we need. This situation or this particular application is a little bit different because, of course, Planning Commission approved it. The staff recommendation is for approval. But taking in consideration that we live in this area and noting that the guidance that our staff is using and it's greatly appreciated is a comprehensive plan in which one of which that I believe needs to be updated to really encompass where we are as a district. And keeping in mind that one of the things that we have conversation about a lot in our community meetings is that when you're on your way to Blythewood on Wilson Boulevard or Fairfield Road, we don't want you just to stop. We don't want you just to drive through District 7, but we want District 7 to be a place that people will stop and they will stay. And how do they do that? And that's by having things there that are conducive for our community, that support where we are presently and where we see our community going. So with that, I move to deny this item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for denial. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Pugh,
Yes.
Branham,
Yes.
Teratio, Weaver,
Yes, sorry. I'm sorry. Yes to no. Okay, yes to no.
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion to deny approved.
Thank you. Next is item 2, case number 24-002 MA Kelvin Wright, R3 Residential 3 District to Neighborhood Mixed Use District The address is 2 Flora Circle, TMS number R20101-01-39. Planning Commission recommends disapproval. Staff recommendation disapproval. This public hearing is now open.
Madam Chair, can we give them a minute to leave? Madam Chair, we have the applicant Kelvin Wright, and we also have one person signed up against. Mr. Wright, could you approach the podium and state your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to speak, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Kelvin Wright, and the property we're here about is 2 Flora Circle, Columbia, South Carolina. Just wanted to, I know that the recommendation from the various committees is not to allow the amendment change, but the purpose of this amendment request is not to expand the use of the property. The property is currently being used as a graduate fraternity house, and per the definition of fraternity house, it is reflective of a collegiate, fraternity house where people live in it. Everybody saw the movie Animal House, things of that nature. That's not what this is. This is a place where we meet and we conduct business, do things for the community. And I submitted a packet to you. If you can look through it, I kind of laid out my whole argument, and then I also added some pictures on the back. We brought that property in 2018. It was dilapidated. It was we got it for around less than $70,000. It's worth over $200,000 now. We put a lot of money into it. We've done things for the community. We've done blood drives. We've done community cleanups. It's 1.3 acres of property. We haven't had any complaints of noise. We've never had the law called on us for anything that we do there. And I understand that expanding use is scary, but the definition only allows for so. If for some reason you decide not to grant the amendment, I ask that you consider changing the definition of what's allowed under R3 to allow for meetings of the nature for graduate fraternity houses or lodges or things of that nature. I think it's a benefit to the community. It provides, like, our organization is predominantly military, current and retired, doctors, lawyers, professionals. We're doing great things in the community, and if we're not allowed to be where we live, then that kind of takes away from the whole idea of what our founders created organizations for. And I'm available for any questions that anybody may have. But definitely, we're not trying to expand the use. We're trying to make sure we're within compliance. That's the whole goal, is to make sure that we don't get cited. Because what happened was, the reason why we're here, I'm newly on the executive committee for PAF, Project Aspiration Foundation, and I saw where we got the complaint.
Right. That's
and I
your
wanted to
time,
make
sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Madam Chair, next we have Mr. Michael Barrows, who's against, and I hope I didn't butcher your name, sir. It doesn't matter. How you doing, sir? If you could approach the podium, please state your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to speak, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody giving me an opportunity to speak, and him too. But I live in Clear Spring.
Mr. Can you state your name and your address for the record, and then you got 2 minutes to speak.
Michael Burrell. 331 Rockingham Road, Columbia, 29203. Clear Spring subdivision. I've been living there for quite a while, since 1986. And partially what he's saying is true about the place was run down a little bit. But I have concerns about one individual coming to a neighborhood and rezoning it. What gives him that authority? And I read the thing, but it's a community, and then you got a new person moving in, and he wants to rezone my whole neighborhood. That's not good for me or my neighbors. And the place has a pond behind it, and I'm afraid that they're gonna pollute it. It has fish, it has everything in it as nice as it, and it's always been nice because the neighbors won't let grown folk fish in it. They let the kids do it. And I'm concerned that they're gonna pollute that. They have little frat parties and stuff up there, but it's people stay directly across the street. And I'm against guys just coming in and rezoning the nice neighborhood, and I think it'll bring the wrong element to my neighborhood. And Northeast is increasingly becoming violent because of the lack of infrastructure and the rezoning where you guys are putting in 30 units coming from R2 and R1 and putting 300 houses in an acre and no infrastructure. The roads narrow and everything, and I just don't want my neighborhood to be rezoned. I know it had a March reading where everybody said no, and I would like to hopefully confirm that and make sure my neighborhood stays safe, because it's kind of a safe neighborhood. And that's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Burrell. Madam Chair, that's everyone that signed up to speak on this matter.
Thank you. That concludes this public hearing.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
You recognize Councilman Walker.
I have a question for Mr. Price. Mr. Price, what about the proposed rezoning designation would be inconsistent with the, I guess, the character of the neighborhood? Could you speak to that for me?
Yes, sir. Primarily, the requested zoning designation is, as stated, it's a neighborhood commercial, neighborhood mixed use. Essentially, it's a commercial zoning designation. And we were looking at the character of the properties in that area and the uses. It was felt that the uses that are allowed within the MU1 zoning designation could introduce uses that are not in character with the residential nature of the community.
So the manner in which it is currently being used by the owner, that would be more, I guess, compatible, if you will, with neighborhood commercial?
That is currently being used?
Right, the way it's currently being used, it's my understanding, at least what's been explained to me as to how it's being used right now. Would that be more compatible with neighborhood commercial?
Well, just for clarification, that the property right now should only be used for single-family residential use. And no other uses should be taking place outside of that in the current zone.
So I heard something about, frat parties. I've heard something about the place being used for events and wanting to use it for events. So I guess then what's being proposed, the proposed use or uses, would that be more consistent with neighborhood commercial?
Yes, sir.
All right, and neighborhood commercial, for what I'm hearing, is not compatible with the character of the neighborhood.
That's correct.
Correct? All right. All right, Madam Chair, I have a motion. At this time, I would move for disapproval.
We have a motion and a second for disapproval. Any discussion? You recognize Councilwoman Barron.
And I guess my question is that, and I don't know who this question is for, even if it's appropriate. Maybe, Councilman Walker, so we have someone who's purchased a home with the intent of it being a quote-unquote frat house. And this is something I don't know about in purchasing homes. I guess I'm stuck with why this information or why this didn't take place prior to the purchasing or this information being divulged, because it would appear that I know if it was me, I wouldn't have purchased a home not knowing that I wasn't going to be able to do what I thought I was going to be able to do with it. So I don't know who this, or even if it's appropriate.
I guess.
You responded,
Well,
Councilman Walker?
And honestly, Ms. Barron, I know you meant it as a question, but it almost sounds rhetorical because I'm wondering the same thing. So I think you and I may be, thinking from the same sheet of music on this one. So,
Any further discussion?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
No.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion to deny approved.
Next item on the agenda is item number 3, case number 23-045 MA, Reza Sanchez, institutional district to residential 6 district, 1626 Horseshoe Drive, TMS number R17011-02-19. Planning Commission recommends approval. Staff recommends approval. This public hearing is now open.
Madam Chair,
You're recognized.
I'd like to move to defer this item to our next meeting. May 21st, and that is this item and the public hearing.
At a motion to defer this item and the public hearing to May 26th zoning public hearing.
Second.
May 21st zoning public hearing. Okay. I heard a motion. Ms. Newton, did you second? Is
Yes,
that correct?
second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker. Yes. Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion to defer approved.
Next is item 4, case number 24-004 MA, John T. Bacchus? Residential transition to general commercial district, 10336 Wilson Boulevard, TMS number R14900-03-01. Planning Commission recommends approval. Staff recommends approval. This public hearing is now open.
Madam Chair?
You recognize.
All right, Madam Chair, I'd like to defer this to our May 21st public hearing meeting, zoning public hearing meeting.
Have a motion to
Second.
defer. Have a second. Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker. Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Next is item 5, case number 24-006 MA, Sam Reynolds. We have open space district to residential 2 district, Windermere Village, TMS number R20510-02-03, a portion of this TMS number. Planning Commission recommends approval. Staff recommends approval. This public hearing is now open.
Madam Chair, we have one person to sign up to speak, and that's the applicant, Mr. Sam Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds, could you come to the podium, please? Mr. Reynolds, please state your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to speak, sir.
Sam Reynolds, 104 Windermere Village Way, Blythewood, South Carolina. Real simple. I purchased a house. We had part of our backyard was actually zoned at the golf course, and I got with the owner of the course. He sold the 0.04 acres to me, and what we're wanting to do is put a swimming pool and a fence around that area. So not doing anything. Everything has to be under homeowner association guidelines, which it is. So that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Madam Chair, that's all who signed up to speak for this matter.
Thank you. This public hearing is now closed. You recognize, Mr. Walker.
This motion is contingent upon the applicant inviting council over for a swim. I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes, but I don't need to come to your pool.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Next is item 6.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
A motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.